with this brief ceremony, we'll go inside and have a reception. Well, let me welcome you to really a great and day in our history, and really something about the future of this particular site. Kind of interesting. I've got some really interesting photos that Dr. Taylor and Dr. Patterson gave me, and these are going to go into the archives. And this is the groundbreaking of the University of Melbourne in 1955. And and Gordon and Bob have gone through all the trouble of identifying all the people in these photos, and I don't know, you might know them too, you. And then this was they actually laid the cornerstone there in 1955, and this was the building. And as you know, it was kind of interesting, with the American Homesteading Foundation, Ralph Borsati and the founders. The whole idea was to create this university so that right here in Melbourne, Florida, we would have an international center for learning to solve some of the great problems of the world. So these were some folks who were way ahead of their time, and but in a sense they weren't, because I would argue that when Jerome Cooper came to this site in I guess the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s, with the great help of the elder Univ, it was a maybe carrying on of that dream. Because today we just received word that once again Florida Tech was listed as a top tier 1 national university by U.S. News and World Report. So maybe that dream has come true. Maybe right here in Melbourne we have indeed created an international center for learning. And one of the criteria that U.S. News and World Reports listed us as, and Wes Sumner can get you the details if you like in the back, they said that of all the universities in the country, Florida Tech was number 2 in providing education for living in a global world. Isn't that interesting? I think that's fascinating for what has happened on this particular site. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of that has to do with the American Homesteading Foundation and indeed the original University of Melbourne. So we're going to dedicate a plaque in memory of that, but first let me introduce Univ. I'd like to say a couple words about the history of this great university. Okay,
let me get your water. Let me get the picture.
Thank you, Dr. Katzenese, and to all the trustees of the university that allowed this event to happen today. The university, as you just saw, laid its cornerstone in 1955. This building behind us is the University of Melbourne building. It had one classroom, which was actually a conference room, and an administrative office. The bas-relief sculptures, which you can see, I hope you will take a look at afterwards, which are one of them is over here, some of you can probably see it. The other one is right around the corner, are original bas-relief sculptures to the building. They were done by an artist. Gordon Patton tells me, I don't see Gordon here. Gordon Patton, who actually knew my father, Gordon Patton told me that they believe those sculptures were done by an Orlando or Winter Park artist. So at any rate, that was the beginning of the university. On December 27th of 1955, the first seminar was held in this building. It was entitled, "Man is a Problem." So I guess some things never change, right? It was sponsored by the Board of Regents. The chancellor was a gentleman named Ralph Borsati, and we don't have time to go in, but there's a lot of history on Ralph Borsati. The president was my father. The clerk was Virginia Wood, who was the founder of Melbourne Village, and there were 2 other members of the founding Board of Regents, and they were Elizabeth Nutting and Gertrude Martin. The scholars who came to this seminar in 1955 were outstanding scholars. The first one was Joseph Wood Crutch, He was from Arizona. He was author of The Measure of the Man. There was Willis D. Nutting, who was a professor at Notre Dame University, historian, author of How Firm a Foundation and the Reclamation of Independence. There was Paul Tillich of the Harvard Divinity School. He was a theologian and philosopher. And then there was Philip Wiley, who was a writer, actually, from, and I see, Jennifer, I know you.
Well, my mother worked for him.
Your mother worked for him, okay. He was a writer in South Florida, and at the time was very well known around the country. So that was the beginning of this venture, this idea of the University of Melbourne. Unfortunately, the seminar, which ran until January 1, 1956, was also the end of the University of Melbourne. And there are some good reasons, which I will address in just a moment. On January 1st, 1961, the university delivered title of 40 acres to Jerome Cooper, president of Brevard Engineering College, which is, of course, known as Florida Institute of Technology today. So why are we here? We're here to memorialize the role of the University of Melbourne and its Board of Regents in the history of this great institution. Now, did a little homework. I don't have as big a staff as you, okay?
You can have some of them.
I did a little homework, and one of the things I found was an editorial was in the Florida, well, I think they called it just Today newspaper. It was in 1969, and it's very, very interesting editorial. It said, first of all, I'm just going to take a couple abstracts. It said the University of Melbourne had a dream, and while that exact dream wasn't realized, they can certainly take part of the credit of the fulfillment of another person's dream. Part of the problem with the University of Melbourne is it was a liberal arts college or university, and it was founded in an area that was quite sparsely populated in 1955. And what was happening was not so much liberal arts, but the beginning of the space program. And the need for a technical university was much stronger than any other need for a liberal arts college. And so a few years later, in 1958, Dr. Jerome Cooper, a dynamic educator, engineer, promoter, had a dream of an institution offering a technical education. And the rockets that have made Brevard famous, the college took off. Now Brevard Engineering successor, the Florida Institute of Technology, is one of the fastest growing and more, this is in 1969, okay? One of the fastest growing and more successful institutions of its kind in the country. So, the editorial says, the dream of the University of the Melbourne Regents wasn't lost. It was interpreted into an institution in which an entire county can be proud. So one of the things that we have done on this plaque, the opening words of the plaque are entitled Beginning of the Future. This was the beginning, this building, and the University of Melbourne. The future is actually right now. And it's a really important future because thanks to the leadership of Dr. Katniss and the trustees of this college has grown by leaps and bounds. I went on the internet today. I couldn't figure out exactly how many students there are, undergraduate and graduate. 6,000 here, 17,000 total students are going to this university in one way or another. So, but more important, not more important, equally as important, is the fact that this university has recognized the original dream of the University of Melbourne, and that was a liberal education. And that also can be credited to Dr. Katzenese and the trustees. And examples are of that, they have a museum, the Fusner Museum. They have a textile museum. They have an artist in residency program. They have a unanimous humanities program, a historical program. I see Mr. Taylor, Professor Taylor in the back, who was very responsible for that. So what has happened is the dream has become a reality. And that's probably the most exciting thing that I can think of about what has happened here and why we are here to memorialize the University of Melbourne. So, this event was done and is presented to you here by the Normal families and the Wood families in conjunction with the university. The Wood family, there are two people in the Wood family, both of them are not here today. But they were the grandchildren of Elizabeth Wood. She was a mover and shaker in this community, in Melbourne Village and in this university. And then there's the Normal family. I said to the Normal family, you better show up or else. Okay? So I am going to introduce the Normal family because I think it's appropriate. And I'm going to start with my sister from St. Helena, California, Dolores Barral. Okay? My sister, we can hold the applause to the end, it's now. My sister from Melbourne, Florida, Helen Luce. My sister from Orlando, Florida, Alice Jordan. Those are my siblings. Alice, incidentally, has reminded me that she walked on the beach with Paul Tillich. And he was perhaps, in my book, one of the most outstanding theologians of the 20th century. So that gets just to that group. Then there are... Okay. Then there is my daughter, Krista. She's right in the back there. And my son, Wendell. Okay, my daughter has 3 children. The oldest is Layla Sobo. That was a demure wave. Her brother is Ferris Sobo. He's further back. And the eyes of the family, if you look at Omar, you'll know he's the eyes of the family. Omar Sobo. And then there is the princess of the family. Oh, come on.
Will she wave?
Yes, she did. Eliza Normal, who's sitting on the front. And then there are the spouses of my children, and that's Jessica Normal and Majid I don't see. Oh, he is. He's there. Okay, Majid. So we do have perfect attendance. Thank you. So I know it's... Oh, and of course, yes. Oh, I know. And, oh yes, I missed a couple, so I'm in good shape. Okay. Yes, of course, my wife, who's been by my side for 49 years and has listened to all of this information about the University of Melbourne, and now she can put it together. And then, of course, there is my father's first granddaughter. She's from High Point, North Carolina, Michelle Shepard. And you raise your hand, and I apologize. So, anyway. So at this point, oh, okay. I'm good on bloodline. I'm not good on spouse line. Okay. And then there's my brother-in-law forever, Jim Liz. I'm sorry, Jim. Okay, so now I got everybody. At this point, Mr. President, I think what we are here to do is unveil the plaque.
That we're going to do. Let me just take a moment to introduce some of our trustees. And let me first start with a very interesting person, the immediate vice chairman of the Board of Trustees. Now, this is an interesting story because he was working for Harris and he got his engineering master's degree here at Florida Tech, and then he decided he didn't want to be an engineer. So he went to law school at the University of Florida and then couldn't find a job until Normal hired him. So Dale Detmer is our immediate vice chairman. Vice chairman. The vice chairman is Dr. Richard Daney in the back there. Secretary is Mr. Reve, Ken Reve, and I think I saw Harry Brandon here. I saw Jack Pruitt here. Did I miss anybody else? Dwayne? I said Dick Beatty. I mentioned Dick Beatty. Thank you guys for coming. Did I forget names? You don't want to forget names, not me.
No, you did great, but I did. I have two others.
They forgot more. We're going to get you notes from now on.
Most of it's in my head, I have to tell you. But at any rate, there are two other people on your staff that are worthy of recognition. And one is Soher Watawi. She is the Dean of Libraries, and it was actually as a result of a meeting in her office in the library probably a year ago that this idea was born. So thank you very much. And then the most important thing in terms of details was Dorcas Blue. She's with the Development Department. And Dorcas, wave your hand. Over here, Dorcas Blue. She really coordinated everything and was a wonderful asset. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to leave these photos up here, but don't take them because they're going into our university archives. And there is a section on the University of Melbourne, so if you haven't seen it, you might want to go over to our library. The plaque we're going to unveil says the following: the beginning of the future. The University of Melbourne was founded in 1955, and this building housed its first classroom and office. The original seminar of the university was titled Man is the Problem, and was led by notable scholars including Joseph Wood Crutch, Willis D. Nutting, Paul Tillett, and Philip G. Weil. The bas-relief sculptures are original and represent the commitment of the university to liberal education, justice, and peace. On January 1st, 1961, the university delivered title of 40 acres to Jerome Cooper, president of the Brevard Engineering College, which is now known as the Florida Institute of Technology. This plaque acknowledges the vision and generosity of the regents of the University of Melbourne: Ralph Borsodi, Chancellor; Hubert C. Normal, Senior Chairman; Virginia Wood, Clerk; Elizabeth Nutting, and Gertrude Martin. Presented by the Normal and Wood families on, that's not right, on 2004, April 25th, 2014. Took a little while to hang it up. All of that on one plaque. Thank you. We will now unveil the plaque. All right, you ready? Hang on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. All right. Okay, we're now going to have a reception in the Hartley Room, I believe. So if you all want to, and it's right over there in Panther Plaza, just follow the crowd.